What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have some very exciting news today. We got some awesome parts in for the Camaro, the Z2H8, and I've been talking about some suspension mods here lately, past few videos, and it's finally here. It finally all showed up. So now we get to tear into it and make it even better. So I am very excited to say that we finally have our TRZ Motorsports upper, lower control arms with the billet tie bars that are on them now, which are super awesome. These things are very lightweight compared to the CPP stuff that we have. So we're actually going to do a little weight comparison. And as you can see, we have the coilover type mount. We also have their new upper coilover conversion kit for F-bodies. Was it 70 to 81 Camaro and Firebird. And we also have their spec'd AFCO shocks. This is a 5-inch stroke shock with a 375 pound Hyperco spring on it. And this is a 12-inch spring, 375 pound, which on the car right now we have 450s, which I believe are too heavy for the car. So this should give us all the suspension travel and control that we need to further progress the car and make it faster. So it's kind of funny to think about making a car faster with suspension versus power, but we're at that point where we need more suspension control to go faster. So we're still reaching the limits of turbo. Not a big deal. Still runs and drives. Still runs and drives. Makes power that we want. We'll go to a bigger turbo here shortly. But suspension more important than power, because if you can't put the power down, you can't control it. There's no point of having all that power if your suspension won't control it. So really excited to get rid of these CPP control arms. If you do know or if you don't know, these are basically just kind of a cheapie. I'm gonna call them Chinese brand because that's probably what they are. Junk customer service. The ball joints that come with them are trash. I had to change them on the car before we even got the car out. I'm not trying to badmouth them, but I'm just calling it how I see it. They're heavy, they're cheap, they're just junk. So we're gonna get rid of them, change them out, put some nicer stuff on there. So let's go ahead and get this thing torn apart. We're gonna take the wheel off, the spindle, the brake, the fender, stuff like that. I'm also gonna pull the injectors out. We're gonna send the injectors out to go get cleaned because the car has been sitting for a few weeks, actually a few months, since I really did anything with it. So I wanna get those cleaned, that way we're fresh, ready to go. Same thing with the fuel filters. We'll get those pulled out, clean those up or replace them, put them back, get everything nice and happy again, and have all the suspension control that we need. So huge shout out to Dr. Tunemal or NK Performance. This is where we got all of our TRZ stuff. They are a dealer for TRZ Motorsports, and went on their website, nkperformance.com, and basically got all of this on the website. So huge shout out to those guys over there for putting in the work to get us to go faster. So let's quit talking, let's get to work. Stripped down, we got all old junk out of there, and yeah, pretty big difference, I would say. I mean, weight wise, these are much heavier. I wanted to weigh them, but my scales did, so that doesn't work. So these are much lighter. So I'm sure they're much stronger too, being chromoly. I'm not sure what these are made of, but probably Chinesium. Same thing with the lowers. the thickness of the tube is just wildly different, right? These are probably way stronger. They got the support in the back where these have nothing. So there's probably a bunch of flex into them. And then here you got your, standard Viking shock. It's like the coilover type, right? So it fits a factory upper spring seat on the Camaro, but you can just see a big difference. Like I was saying, these are 450-pound springs, and now we got our 375. So should have much more control, much better suspension rates, and everything like that. So really excited to get these installed. I wish I could install them now, but we gotta do some hacking. So what we're gonna do is cut these welds back. Ouch. Freaking GM. Man, look how sharp that is. Ugh. These 70s and 80s cars from GM are just junk welds. Good thing we're getting rid of them. So, going to carefully cut this out. Make it, basically, I'm just gonna lop this off as a big chunk right here, probably. And then slowly work my way back until the bracket, which I think it's this one. Should be this one, yeah. So the bracket will basically take the place of that, if you guys can imagine that. So our shock will sit higher, hence the 5-inch stroke compared to the 4-inch stroke or 3.5 or whatever it was on the other Viking setup. So it'll sit like that, but obviously more forward or more into the car. And then this tab will have to basically massage into fitting the contour of the car. And we'll go ahead and weld everything up. So we're going to TIG weld everything best of our ability to make them nice and pretty welds. But so far, pretty good progress. It only took me about an hour, not even to strip all that. So yeah, we'll keep cutting, keep grinding, and get these new brackets fit up. I'm gonna get everything mocked up, fit up, suspension in. We're gonna have to open the hole in the frame to clear the coil itself. So once all of that works, the cycle up and down, it's perfect. There's no hitting or binding or anything like that. Then we'll weld everything together. So after a bunch of cutting and fitting and grinding and whatnot, we got the plate basically all married up. So like I was saying earlier, we're not gonna weld this up just yet. We're gonna get everything cut out, make sure the suspension travel up and down is good. We gotta open up this hole here for the stock pocket. So this is what came off essentially, just like that. So we're just replacing it. It'll give us a little bit more travel, or say a longer stroke shock we can work, which is a 5-inch stroke. So yeah, we're just gonna keep buttoning it up, and then we'll go ahead, get it welded once we know everything clears. But so far this kit's pretty good, and yeah, like I said, it's just a lot of tinkering, a lot of cutting, and then continuously cutting and then grinding and then making it fit, and everything will work all kosher like. So once we get to that point, then we'll start welding it in. But for right now, we got to cut out that opening and just chip away at it. All right, after a bunch of cutting and grinding, we have the new shock relocation bracket mocked up. It's not going to be welded until we are 100% sure it's going to fit. We also have to open up this right here, so I got to continuously cut that and then kind of push this back down. For some reason, this is a lot higher than this side, but not a big deal. But yeah, we'll just keep opening this up until we are clear of the upper and lower control arm and the stroke of the shock. So keep chipping away at it, and then we'll weld her up. right, so we got everything mocked up and we are chipping away at it. Like I was stating earlier, we got everything mocked up right now, and we do have a little bit more clearancing to do, if you can see that. So the spring pocket is hitting the spring, but we have pretty good clearance all around in the back and whatnot. So longest part of this install is definitely just trimming and fitting everything, but overall, I mean, I'm pretty pleased with that. Everything looks pretty sick. I'm definitely pretty excited to have all this new suspension and travel and adjustability and whatnot. So yeah, just keep chipping away at it. Once I know and comfortable with the amount of clearance that we have on the spring, we'll go ahead and weld it in for good and then go ahead and paint everything up. This looks like it's going to be the final test fit. We got plenty of room. I'll probably clean up this area just a little bit more, but other than that, I'm pretty happy. It is a little close to the support, so I'll probably just take some of this out right on the inside edge of that. It'll still be plenty strong with the amount I have to weld up there. So yeah, pretty good with that. So I'm gonna clean up the edge, like I just said, right here, and we'll go ahead and get everything cleaned up, ready for welding, and burn it in. All right, got the mount all welded in. Got some pretty good ones here and there. Like the little post came out. I'll show you guys. Doesn't want to focus for whatever reason. Backside, a little bit more difficult because I was literally doing this just like the camera was facing, like upside down. So not my best right there. And then underneath was complete garbage, so I just stopped. So I think that's plenty. I think that's enough welding on the supported stuff. I'm now actually going to take a little bit more off of this post. As you can see, it kind of hangs over a little bit, so I'm going to take this area out a little bit. But other than that, we should be good to go. So like I was saying, the welds came out pretty decent, not terrible. It'll definitely hold, so it's all going to get spray painted black with Steel It, but other than that, came out pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up, prep the area, and get it all painted. All right, well, front driver's side is all put back together. I do have a little bit of an issue. As you can see, that spring is touching there, but the car is actually super low right now. Like this whole front end, at least on this side, is super low. So probably need to actually raise the ride height. If you can look at the angle of the control arm, it's pretty steep. But we'll have to definitely do a full alignment again on the same caster, camber, all that good stuff. So I already know I'm gonna need to put some shims in here to correct the camber and whatnot. But other than that, shit looks pretty sweet. Really like how they look too, which is cool. So it's not only functional, but it's actually, you know, looks pretty badass, in my opinion. So what I'm gonna do is wrap this up, clean up, and then we'll start the next side tomorrow. So we're gonna flip the car around, do the same exact thing. Should go a little bit quicker since I know what I'm doing, but I think all in all this came out really well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get the other side done, and then I'll show you guys the final product after we do an alignment. I'm gonna pull the injectors out, clean them, filters, clean them, and we'll go ahead. All right, so we got the front end back together. We got both sides. I got the wheels polished up. We're looking good with our new bead locks from MacFab. We got our new TRZ suspension. So we are doing good. We are looking good, and very excited to see how these AFCO shocks are going to work compared to the factory style stuff. So pretty easy install. It did take a while to basically get enough area around the spring. It looks like it's touching. It's not touching though. You can see it. You can barely see it. It ain't touching. We're good. So yeah, definitely a smooth install. Just took a little bit of a while. If you know how to weld, you can definitely do this yourself. And if you don't, pay someone to do it. But yeah, it's gonna wrap up today's video, you guys. Like always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing. We will see you in the next episode.